How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today I am going to show you how to replace the alternator in my 2006 Scion XB. Obviously this is the same for the first gen XB, which is 04 to 06 and a half if you're being technical. But before I get started, if you could do me a huge favor, go and hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel. Really would appreciate it. Also, if you follow our socials, links in the description below on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I post things there that I normally don't post here. So let's get to it. To give you some backstory on the XB and how I know if this needs an alternator is I'll give you the story of what happened. So over the past few months, the battery light comes on intermittently, comes on, goes away real shortly after. 2 days ago, the battery light came on and stayed on. Now, that night I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hook it on the trickle charger, see what it does. Overnight, fully charged the battery showed 100%, good to go. And when I start the car, the battery light's still on even with the battery fully charged. Everything electrical, the stereo, the lights, everything still worked. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and just drive around and need errands to run, and I need to pick up a new alternator for this, possibly, right? So ran around, did everything, and towards the end of the night, about 10 minutes away from home, every time I'd signal, the headlights would dim. The stereo system, there was a lot of feedback in the sound. I was like, what was that sound? I turned it up, like, oh, it's feedback. So I know some way, somehow, that the alternator is going out. And almost forgot. Before I was 10 minutes from home, I was on the freeway, and when I reach 4,000 RPM, the light would go away. And as soon as I get under 4,000 RPM, the light would come back. And I did it a few times until the light just permanently stayed on. So I know at that point, this poor alternator is done. I believe this is the original alternator on the car, and my car has about 200,000 miles. I know generally it's a mixed bag for a lot of the XB owners out there and XA owners, same car. They last anywhere from 170, 180 to up to 300,000 plus miles. My car, I am not the first owner, I'm the second owner of this car. It's lived its entire life in Southern Nevada and Las Vegas, so really hot. A lot of wear and tear on the car from the heat, and as I'll show you through things that you'll see, it is what it is, but this car overall has been reliable. So enough with the backstory, and let me go ahead and get started. I'll show you what to do in terms of changing your alternator. Before I get started on working on the car, I'm going to show you the tools that I use today. Obviously I have my half drive ratchet here. I have extensions, various sizes. This is a 10 on there, 12 and a 14 socket. I have a flathead for anything, a pry bar, a 10 mil, and a 12 mil open end and ratcheting. You can use a 14 also, but I just use the 14 on the socket. More or less 10, 12, 14, flathead for a clip, for a couple clips, and a pry bar. Just in whichever combination works best for you. This is what I used. The very first thing you want to do is unplug the battery, which I already did. Completely unplug it so that when you're working electrical, you do not want to get shocked by the car or the battery or anything like that. It's happened to me by accident before. Not my fault. It sucks. So real quick and easy. It's two 10mm bolts. You can use an open end or a closed end to take it off, or if you have a ratchet, that's fine too. So there's 10s there, and to get the alternator off, it is the alternator itself. It is two 12s up top here, and right here, and then there's a 14 down here that you can reach down and feel. But before you even do that, you will want to take off anything electrical related. So the first thing I did, which I already did here, was unplug this harness clip. This is for the VVT-I solenoid, I believe. Unplug that, and then right here, there's usually this cap. There is a cap that's covering this right here, which is the main power wire for the alternator. From there, you would just pop this off and take off the 10mm nut, pull the wire back, and below that is this harness clip right here. be very careful when you take this stuff off, especially if it's the original. I cracked mine, barely put any force on it, and it did crack. So unfortunately that happened. It does happen, is what it is. Another tip you can go with, also you can remove the factory plastic engine cover. There's 4 10mm nuts here, 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 and here to remove the engine cover. That way you can move this harness, because when the cover sits on top, it kind of doesn't let you move the harness as much. So on YouTube, there's a couple different methods that you've seen on the videos out there. One of them is people remove the bumper for easier access to see things in the front there. So you got a little bit of space there. I'm gonna do it without taking the bumper off. The other method is unbolting the engine mount and lifting the engine slightly, because the lower bolt, what happens is it's in the way of the frame rail that's right there, and it's a little tricky to get out. So if you lift the engine up, it's a lot easier. I'm more likely gonna go with that route, just because I don't want to take the bumper off and take everything apart, even though some people do it, some people don't. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So first thing I'll do is support the engine, get a jack with a piece of wood or a puck. I'm using a rubber puck, and then use it on one of the support points on the engine. Do not jack it up from the oil pan. Please don't do that. I've seen people do that. I don't know why. Not any XB owners, but I've seen other people that work on cars do that. I'm like, what are you doing? So find a good secure spot for the jack to help support the engine when you unbolt the engine mount bracket, and from there you can lift the engine up a little bit and you have a little bit more room to work. Alright, so I've removed the 3 bolts for the engine mount bracket, which is there, there, and there. To get to this one, to make your life a little easier, to remove this 10mm right here that holds the AC line so you have a little room to play. That way I've been able to raise the bolt, the lower bolt, to access it better when I get to it. Let me go ahead and remove the 2 12s here. There's 1 and 2 12s again, and a 14 down below. Alright, these are the 3 nuts and bolts that you would remove, including the bracket. So this comes out of right here. This one is right here. And this is the 14 down there. Now, once you get it out, you should be able to move and wiggle the alternator. From there, I would just move the alternator forward, pull the belt over, try not to let the belt undo itself completely, but just move the belt over, maybe have a zip tie, hold it. That way you could rock and wiggle the alternator out and then drop in the new alternator. Now you might need a pry bar to help pry it out. It's possible, but let me try doing it without the pry bar and kind of go from there. But again, don't forget that I unbolted the 3 engine bracket bolts for the engine mount out, and then remove this 10 right here to move the AC line, so the AC line has a little bit more play and movement in it, so things are easier to get to. Let me go ahead and do this next part and I'll be right back.
A few inches later.
Alright, got the original alternator out. This is the new one, just comparing side by side just to show you. So this is the original one that came with the car, so it's had a good long life, good years of use and service. So let me show you how it looks with the alternator out right here. Essentially, once you undo everything, you have to rock it back and forth and give it, for myself, I rocked it back and forth quite a few times, but at the same time I still had my hand on it. I was giving it a little bit of vertical pull to slowly just walk it out of its spot. It was pretty stubborn. I had the same issue with my Lexus in the other series of videos, because this is a older car, so just be forewarned. Be careful if you're gonna pry. I use the pry bar. I use it right here where it's not gonna damage anything, and use it just to pry, just to get it going, to get it to loosen up. But try not to, if you pry, please don't, obviously stay away, or please don't hit the solenoid or break this sensor right here, sensor clip. It'll be bad times for you. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put the other one back in and go in reverse order and show you when it's all finished. Again, I have the the belt right here, just off to the side, put everything back in, and then once I put the belt on, put the bracket on, use a pry bar to push the alternator to go this way to tighten tension on the belt, and then bolt everything down to make sure it's good to go.
A lot of boring math later.
As you can see here, I have the alternator in now. Took a little bit of finagling. I had to redo the belt, but the bolts are here. And what I did was I used a pry bar, inserted through here, used this as a kind of like a fulcrum point to put pressure to pull the belt tight. So the belt's nice and tight right now. So my next step is to bring the engine back down, put the bolts, the 3 14s on the engine mount bracket down, the 10 on this one, and then plug in the harnesses, the plugs, and hook this up, and then put the battery on and then test. Pretty much I'm going in reverse order from when I started. Alright, I have everything buttoned up. Bolts for the engine mount brackets all back in, all 3 spots, AC, the 2 12s, the 14 down below. Just as a quick word of advice, make sure you get good tension before you tighten this bolt to make sure the belt has good tension, or you're going to hear a lot of squeals. Have the battery all plugged in and everything. Again, like I said, all in reverse order from when I started. Again, this is the alternator install on a 2004 to 2000 Scion XB. It took me, including filming and everything, took me about an hour and 40 minutes. If I wasn't filming, probably closer to an hour and 10. Stopping, picking up the camera, and so forth. So yeah, not too bad of a job. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this 5 to a 6. Again, this car is really old, so getting stuff off isn't as easy as some of the newer cars I work on. But anyways, still pretty simple compared to a lot of other cars that I've done alternator installs for. Yeah, so everything's done. I'm happy this is done. I can go about my day. But thanks again so much for watching the video. Definitely do appreciate it. And also, if you haven't already, hit the like button and leave a comment down below if you have any questions or any comments. Again, this is the route and method I took, which was unbolting the engine bracket and tilting the engine up to reach the lower bolt for the alternator. The other method people do is take off the bumper, where you can access stuff right from the front or from the side. Different methods. I went with the, I wouldn't call it lazier, but just more, it's a lot quicker. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.